Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. Government to further consult with the people before taking construction of Point Fortin Highway any further. Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs urges citizens to conserve energy. Attorney Sushila Ramkisoon Mark appointed to head the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission's board. And in sport, Group 5 of the Caribbean Football Union Club Championship being contested in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for joining us. To our top story. The Debe to Mondesi section of the $7.5 billion highway to Point Fortin has been put on hold as government seeks to keep with its mandate of further consultation with the people before taking construction any further. The announcement was made on Saturday as public consultations were held with the affected residents at the Debe High School. Kimberly Ramkalawan has the story.
Construction of the Debe to Siparia section of the Solomon Hochoy Highway extension to Point Fortin has been put on hold. This according to Vice President of Engineering and Program Management at NIDCO, Steve Garab Singh, who said the postponement was made as a result of continued consultations with residents in the area.
Now, I must say to you that we have been requested by the Ministry of Works and Transport to put a hold on the Debe to Siparia interchange to Siparia segment to further additional studies which are required to be able to respond to the inquiries and concerns of the citizens in the area. So we will not be proceeding for the time being with that section until further notice.
Works Minister Jack Warner called on the Debe to Mondesi residents to take a second look at the positive effects the new roadways would have on them.
The fact is, if we come and build a highway here and leave it worse off, then we would have failed you. And we have pledged not to do that. And your Prime Minister, who also is your MP for Siparia, wouldn't allow that.
Consultations were held at the Debe High School, where Minister in the Ministry of Works, Stacey Rupnarine, said the works represented taking development to the rural areas.
For as long as I have known myself, and for as long as I have lived in Penal Debe, we have always complained that there is no focus on rural development. And this Point Fortin Highway is our chance at developing the Southwestern Peninsula and Penal Debe. As your MP for Oropouche West, I am committed to ensuring that persons are not left in a worse situation, but rather a better situation. And I ask those of you who may have concerns over this highway to think about the long-term impact that this highway brings, not only to you, but to your children, to your grandchildren, and to the development of the entire Southwestern Peninsula.
Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs, Senator the Honorable Kevin Ramnarine, is urging citizens to play their role in conserving energy in this country. He was speaking at the launch of the Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Campaign at the Crown Plaza Hotel, where he revealed that wastage of energy seems to be a culture this country has adopted. Verna Barrett has more.
Energy Minister Senator Kevin Ramnarine says this country is blessed to have such affordable electricity and fuel rates. Speaking at the launch of the Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Campaign at the Crown Plaza Hotel, Minister Ramnarine revealed how fortunate Trinidad and Tobago was in being one of the only CARICOM nations to be a net exporter of energy.
Energy in Trinidad, as was pointed out by one of the earlier presenters, is among the cheapest in the Western Hemisphere. We pay almost 5 US cents per kilowatt hour for electricity in Trinidad, so electricity is fairly cheap. We also have some of the lowest prices in the world for diesel. Diesel is $1.50 TT per liter in Trinidad. The average price in the CARICOM region, TT equivalent, is somewhere like around 7 to 7.50 TT per liter. In Guyana, not too far away, diesel is actually $6.39. So we are very blessed to enjoy very cheap electricity and fuel prices here in Trinidad.
In light of this fact that Trinidad and Tobago's energy and fuel costs are quite low compared to that of other nations, the Energy Minister says wastage has become an unfortunate culture in this country. He is therefore urging persons to play their part in conserving electricity. Renewable energy and energy efficiency, he adds, are key areas of focus by the Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs.
We are very blessed to enjoy very cheap electricity and fuel prices here in Trinidad. What that has led to, it has led to a degree of wastage in the economy. People waste electricity, people waste fuel because it's cheap. You go to the ministry at night and you see all the lights on all the floors except the lights in my office. I take off my lights in my office. And therefore we need to have a culture change in Trinidad with respect to our relationship to our resources.
The Energy Minister says his ministry has been working towards introducing certain new initiatives in the walk towards energy conservation. He made mention of the usefulness of energy-efficient buildings and CNG initiatives to be introduced to several additional parts of the country.
We also have to look at the whole issue of energy-efficient buildings in this country. Many of our buildings are built in a manner that allows them to be heated and cooled constantly during the day. And as I see Mr. Franco here, I'm reminded, of course, of the CNG initiative. We turned the sod for a CNG station today at Vimcott. 2 months ago, we turned this out for a CNG station at PTSC in Citygate. And pretty soon, we'll be rolling out a new CNG master plan, which I'll be taking to Cabinet for approval. So we are continuing very strong with the CNG initiative. It is the way of the world. It is the way the world is going.
Verna Barath, News 4.
News 4 continues right after the break. Stay with us.
It's like no other place on earth. Paria Springs and rainforests that sing, and the blue seas and skies. But what makes Trinidad and Tobago really special is our people. Our fathers and mothers, sisters and brothers. We're aunts and uncles, neighbors and cousins, and we are officers of a new police service as well. A new service of the 21st century. The police service of tomorrow.
It's different from the old model, and what it is really is a deployment model. So it's how we deploy our resources, how we utilize our resources for their maximum effectiveness.
With new tools, new technology, new leadership, and a new sense of dedication and service to all our people. In the coming weeks, we'll air a series of half-hour specials to show you how we have been re-equipped with new computers, new communication systems, and new rapid response teams so we can respond with speed and precision.
Welcome back. Attorney Sushila Ramkissoon Mark has been handed her instrument of appointment to head the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission's board. Public Utilities Minister Senator the Honorable Emmanuel George says he has confidence that the new appointees are quite competent in carrying out their duties. Verna Barath has more.
Speaking shortly after she was handed her instrument of appointment to head the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission's board, Attorney Sushila Ramkissoon Mark is assuring that emphasis will be paid on safety at the workplace in light of the recent incidents of fatalities at job sites.
My vision is to create a much safer working environment as well as a more financially viable organization. As you know, we have had a few fatalities within the recent past, and certainly one of the initiatives that this board would be embarking upon is to embark upon institutional strengthening, particularly as it relates to the area of HSE practice and procedure. So safety is a priority right now for us. It's of immediate priority.
Public Utilities Minister, the Honorable Emmanuel George, says he is confident that the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission will now be better able to meet the demands of the public.
In speaking to the new chairman and deputy chairman and to give them an indication of what is expected. I simply want to say that TNTech at this time faces a lot of challenges in terms of its having to provide an adequate level of electricity supply to the population. A safe and reliable supply is what the population has come to expect and what TNTech is required to deliver.
Minister George is announcing that the lifespan of the power purchase agreement with PowerGen has expired, and as such there is need to negotiate a new power purchase agreement.
The original power purchase agreement from 1994 had a 15-year lifespan. So that power purchase agreement's life was supposed to expire in 2011. There was a rollover of that power purchase agreement to enable the negotiations of the replacement power purchase agreement to take place. And so a note was taken to Cabinet yesterday to seek Cabinet's approval and the vetting of the Attorney General to put into place a new PPA.
Verna Barath, News 4.
Foreign Affairs and Communications Minister Dr. the Honorable Suraj Ratan Rambachan says Trinidad and Tobago has benefited tremendously from its relations with Canada over the years. He was speaking at the Diplomatic Centre in St. Anne's, where bilateral agreements were signed between this country and Canada.
The education sector of Trinidad and Tobago has been greatly impacted by Canada's influence even from the very early years. This from Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. Suraj Rambachan, who was speaking at a luncheon hosted by Prime Minister Kamal Prasad Bisesa at the Diplomatic Centre in St. Anne's, where the signing of the bilateral agreements took place.
71 years before a full-time trade commissioner was first appointed to Port of Spain in 1938, Canadian missionaries led by the Reverend John Morton of Nova Scotia were establishing an educational and ecumenical outreach to the children of Indian indentured immigrants who hitherto were denied an opportunity for social upward mobility. From 3 students on the steps of his dilapidated church in the jungles of a village called Irie 144 years ago, the Morton legacy would grow to 5 prestigious institutes of higher education and over 60 primary schools by 2012, offering, like all other denominational and government schools, first-class tuition to a growing population.
According to Dr. Rambachan, students who have pursued tertiary education in Canada have become quite successful in their various fields of study.
Our students found Canada a most inviting place to pursue tertiary education, like Dr. Kenneth Grant Mahabir, who graduated in medicine from Dalhousie University in 1912 and stayed on in Nova Scotia because of his strong Presbyterian connections. In various other provinces, they would settle, contributing to the socio-economic life of your country. May I say, Your Excellency, that I myself have been the beneficiary of a CEDA scholarship to pursue the MBA program at the prestigious Richard Ivey School of Business, the University of Western Ontario in 1971.
The Honourable Minister took the opportunity to warmly welcome the Governor-General and Commander-in-Chief of Canada, David Johnston, and his team to this country.
Trinbagonian cuisine is most popular in most households through the Naparima cookbook. Caribana is this country's contribution to your carnival. So, Your Excellencies, visiting Trinidad and Tobago is like a homecoming for you, because of the warmth and gracious hospitality of our peoples towards our Canadian friends and family and the open arms you have extended to us. Welcome home.
Verna Barath, News 4.
More news after the break. Stay with us.
Informing and educating the nation, especially the young ones, about water, how it's won and processed, and how it should be protected are just a few of our major responsibilities here at the Public Education Center. The enjoyable learning environment, cultivating conservation habits, developing healthy relationships, and giving our public an appreciation of the environment in which we produce water. WASA's PEC, the region's only public education center on water.
Adults aren't the only ones who beat up on kids. Sometimes kids beat up on kids.
Every child has the right to be protected from violence, abuse, and neglect.
Because I shouldn't be afraid to go to school or play with my friends.
Because no child should be hurt by adults or by other children.
Because safety is my right. Stop the bullying.
Thank you for staying with us. Government's thrust towards the expansion of the use of compressed natural gas, CNG, took one step further as Transport Minister, the Honorable Devant Maharaj, turned the sod to yet another CNG service station. He says the initiative will not only look at protecting the environment, but increase government savings in revenue. Kimberly Ramkalawan reports.
The drive towards a more energy-friendly society has taken off. This as the Ministry of Transport has turned the sod for the construction of the latest CNG service station at the Beetham branch of Vimcut. In his feature address at the ceremony, Minister of Transport Senator Devant Maharaj said the stations will benefit citizens on all levels.
This CNG station will offer a convenience store and an on-site vehicle service center, which will be facilitated by the use of new technology and state-of-the-art equipment. This site was chosen as a strategic location since it can be easily accessed via the priority bus route or the Beetham Highway. And that strategic access is critically important to our drive to encourage the maxi taxi industry to convert their engines into CNG as well as the general public.
The minister assured tax breaks will be facilitated as government takes into consideration the incurred cost the changes will have on citizens.
We also note that pursuing a completely green technology would make adaptation and adoption a slow process due to the cost of these technologies. Increasing costs to the business sector may inhibit any comparative and competitive advantage accruing through these investments. The government has recognized this, and we will provide a tax credit on the cost of CNG kits to vehicle owners. We remove the import duty on these kits and will be considering other initiatives geared towards increasing the adoption rate of CNG as a fuel of choice.
He added that the changes will redound to an increase in revenue for government.
The conversion to CNG as the main automotive fuel will amount to real savings to the National Treasury through reduced fuel subsidy. This would increase the availability of resources to expand national infrastructure and other programs. We are also seeking to engage the maxi taxis, which currently benefit from a fuel subsidy of approximately $343 million per year.
At present, there are 8 fueling sites across the country, with plans to introduce 40 fueling sites in 5 years' time to satisfy a market of 50,000 vehicles. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Well, it's time now for some sport. Group 5 of the Caribbean Football Union Club Championship is being contested in Trinidad and Tobago with 4 teams from the region seeking to advance to the final round of competition. One of those teams is TT Pro League champion W Connection FC. News 4's Nicholson Paul and Wayne Cunningham were there as the Savanetta boys got the ideal start to their campaign.
TT Pro League outfit W Connection FC faced Victory SC of Haiti as Group 5 of the Caribbean Football Union Club Championship kicked off at the Manny Ramdrum Stadium in Marabella on Sunday. The Pro League champions are seeking to advance to the final round and capture their 5th CFU crown, and their first hurdle was their Haitian counterparts. Connection immediately had their opponents chasing the ball as they employed a crisp passing game, but their first shot on goal came after the ball fell nicely for Shadon Winchester. His effort sailed into the Marabella sky. In the 16th minute, that miss was forgotten as Hashim Arcia got it right for the Savanetta boys. Arcia receiving a gem of a pass from Jarrell Brito and beats the keeper with a well-placed grounder. Jarrell Brito was looking comfortable in his new role of attacking midfielder as he puts this ball right into the stride of Winchester, who in turn puts it into the side of the net. Victory's best move came just before the halftime whistle. The deflection making Williams work a little harder to keep his team's 1-0 lead. Victory SC came on looking to restore parity in the second half. To their credit, the Haitian champs were trying shots from all over the park. This 50-yarder almost catching Williams out. Unfortunately for the visitors, it was Connection hitting the back of the net for a second time. René Brito doing all the hard work for Arcia to score again. Arcia making it 2-0 W as he sneaks in at the far post to score. That is how this one would end. In game 2, Inter Moingen Tapo of Suriname in the red met Antigua's Barracudas.
Also of Trinidad and Tobago.
It was all Barracudas in this match as they opened the scoring as early as the 9th minute. Then this scorcher in the 43rd by Quinton Griffith, which left the keeper just looking over his shoulder. Tamale Thomas added a third late in the second half to give the Antiguans a 3-0 victory and the early lead in the standings. Matches continue in the championship on Tuesday at the Atto Boland Stadium in Couva. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
When we come back, Point Fortin Borough Day celebration. Stay with us.
Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC, now recruiting candidates for its upcoming cycle. Join our training program, military-led, national in scope.
Conserving, disaster response training, flora and fauna preserving, and life skill training. If you want to do better, change your life over. Civilian Conservation Corps has opened doors. You like plumbing? You like welding?
Call us now at 625-4CCC. That's 625-4222. Or contact us at the CCC office in your region. For further information, check us out on Facebook. Search for Civilian Conservation Corps. The Civilian Conservation Corps, getting youth ready for life.
Carjacking has become very prevalent in recent times. Certain makes of vehicles are more preferred targets for criminals. When approaching intersections or junctions, ensure that all doors are locked and windows are wound up if possible. Remember, crime prevention is everyone's business. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Welcome back. Thousands of persons flocked the streets of Point Fortin as a southern town buzzed with activity as it celebrated attaining borough status in its annual carnival-like celebrations. Point Fortin Mayor Clyde Paul commended residents for a job well done in putting together the event, saying the festival continues to get bigger and bigger every year. Kimberly Ramkalawan has more.
The streets of Point Fortin came alive this weekend when the southern town hosted its annual Borough Day celebrations. Patrons were treated to a carnival-like atmosphere as bands and revelers took to the streets. In recent years, the celebration, which consists of many events, has gained popularity, drawing persons not only from across Trinidad and Tobago, but tourists from around the world. Point Fortin Mayor Clyde Paul said the festivities represented the town's achievement of borough status and much more.
This is how we celebrate the anniversary of Point Fortin, having been established as a borough in 1980. Actually, Borough Day is the 30th of April. But we've started our celebrations with prayer and community activities, and we are concluding with a massive celebration, as you've seen here today, of all our national cultural heritage. Carnival, mass, pan, tassa, and everything else cultural.
Celebration saw President George Maxwell Richards also visiting the Southland for festivities. The mayor added that Borough Day held significance to residents of Point Fortin as it provided a number of opportunities for them.
The local businessmen, I prefer to say the local community, our people, the poor people. Borough Day was established to give them a chance. It wasn't created for the big business people. It was created for the people, the homeless, the unemployed. In 1988, remember we had some unfortunate situations when taxes were taken away from people. The salaries were cut by 10% and all that. We had a big depression in the 1980s. This is when we decided to have something that will attract people to come to Point Fortin and spend money, and our people use that money to better themselves, increase the fortunes in the quality of life.
This year saw bands displaying their costumes before a panel of judges in front of the markets. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of the News 4 Report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.